All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Magik, issue number 1 by Marvel Comics, covered by J. Scott Campbell. All right, this is a modern comic, and you all know, or most of you know, what I think about modern Marvel comics, especially Marvel, also DC. So yeah, I'm not buying any stuff of that anymore. So why this? Well, recommendations and, to be honest, curiosity. Now, my knowledge about Magik is pretty limited. I know her when she was a little girl and she was kidnapped by Belasco, and she had her, I don't know, soul self or her demon self, or her other half. Was the storyline with that, and that she was also joining the New Mutants. But it was, I believe, in the 80s, 90s, around that. That's it. So I do not know her whole character because I, especially not buying X-Man comics anymore because they're trash nowadays. Anyway, so I don't know if her character is actually who she is. And I'm basically very cautious because I know Marvel's reputation, because they have a record of changing people's behavior and retconning people's backgrounds and origins and all that stuff. I mean, for instance, Nightcrawler, he's a priest, he believes in God, and now he's just throwing people into space, teleporting them in. Kitty Pryde was a nice, fun, great character, was in love with Colossus, with Peter. Now she is, I don't know, half lesbian, and she had at one point tattoos on her knuckles. It's just, and she's also a murderer, by the way. In my opinion, heroes don't murder. But like I said, they are just retconning a lot of characters, and so I'm not sure if Magik, Ilyanna Rasputina, is the same character from years and years and years ago. But without further ado, that was my rant, if you can call it a rant. We're gonna dive right in, and it's been written by Ashley Allen, artist Germán Peralta. Arthur Hesley is the color artist, and we have the letter Ariana Maher. Is that how you say it? Probably not. Anyway, so we start here this is somewhere in Alaska, and this young woman is running away, but she's been captured and grabbed by some entity. I mean, this immediately reminds me of some kind of a high school horror movie, and basically that's exactly what it is. This story, it has that trope, with magic and creatures from hell and all that stuff in this, backwater town or wherever it is. Where is this, by the way? Juno? It sounds French. Anyway, so this is more like a flashback when she was little, and it's more like reminiscing stuff, and this is all a dream. She talks about when Belasco kidnapped her, and then turned her into some kind of a power-hungry wizard girl, because soul stuff and all that. It's been a long time. Anyway, and she says, so he talks about Krakoa. Krakoa, the story, it was one of the worst stories ever. The whole Krakoa era is just garbage. Anyway, and she says, this is my dream, Piotr. I do as I please. What about me? Will you avoid me too? What is there to avoid? I'm no longer queen of limbo. I've divorced myself from that realm. It's over. Is it? So, this looks cool. The art looks cool. The color is nice too. I love the lighting. There's some problems here that I'm going to address. So, I do not know if her other self is a separate entity or that she is one and the same. I do not know. But yeah, this is a dream when all the X-Men are dead. And and she is here. Is this from the, Danny? Shit, what's her? Danny Moonstar, right? From the New Mutants, and with Cannonball, I guess. And we have the usual X-Men, right? Anyway, so she wakes up, and she says, Dark Child haunts me. In Krakoa, she was quiet. Belasco's influence is a distant memory. I believe her control over me was gone. But this is the third time this week. The same dream, the same mistake, the same ending. Yes, Limbo forged me into something stronger, but what at cost? So she's going to the room, and we have part of the X-Men. I do not know this one. Do not know this one. This is Quentin, the Cyclops Beast. Now, why is Juggernaut here? I mean, he's not a mutant. He has the power of Cataract, a crystal that turns him into the Juggernaut or an avatar of the Juggernaut. Why is he here? He also looks small, by the way. Anyway, so it's probably her birthday, right? Look how small he is. Anyway, so Quentin has said, hey, put out this hat, right, because it's your birthday, but she doesn't want to, right? She talks about pancakes. And then also, hey, by the way, we need to work. Mutants are disappearing in Juneau, so this whole party can wait, right? So Quentin says, because basically he lets her go, right? And she's teleporting out because that's a mutant power. Cyclops, you can't be serious. What about the team bonding? What do you mean team bonding, Quentin? I mean, there's people dying and you're talking about team bonding. So Cyclops let her just go instead of, hey, let's investigate that together, as a team, because people are dying and missing. So what can one person do, right? But, that's the story that has been told here. So and then we go to Juneau, where, this girl in the beginning has now found, and this is her corpse, by the way, have a funeral. And then this guy is talking about, thank you for hosting a mutant funeral, Agnes. Such a tense time. What do you mean, a mutant funeral? What is the difference between a mutant funeral and a normal funeral? I don't see any difference. Probably because she was a mutant, thus it's a mutant funeral instead of just a funeral, right? I mean, I remember that mutants were saying, oh man, I want to be included in the human society, and we are being prosecuted, right? Because fear and bigotry and all that stuff. But you are separating yourself by we having a mutant funeral instead of a normal funeral. It seems that you really do not want to be part of the human race. Anyway, so we have, of course, this humans that are against mutants, right? So so we have this Moni, that's the girl that was been killed. These are all mutants, by the way, and this is Ren, and Den was Moni's friends, right? And they are blaming all on her because instead of the monster that kidnapped her and killed her. But then immediately Ilyanna is being greeted by this bigot, right? And threatens her. The magic I learned in Limbo begs to be unleashed, but I know how they see me. Despite them being the ones who screams at me. Yeah, I know, but I also can, for those who don't know, I have my ways of reading comics besides the physical one on the internet. So I also know that in one of the X-Men books that she was, speaking of magic, of course, talking about killing people, right? Just murdering people. So it just depends on who writes them. So shut up, Ilyanna. You want to murder humans too. Anyway, so he says to this guy, hey, why don't you go back a bit? So I thought this was just, I don't know, some kind of a student, but it's just a dad guy with a mustache. Anyway, so she says, I am no demon because people talk about her. But then out of nowhere, demons appear, right? What a coincidence. So she's conjuring up her soul sword, who is a physical manifestation of the soul cutting through all magic, which is cool. I wonder how it all works. Because I was always wondering if, let's say her soul sword is being, destroyed, broken, chipped off. What would that do to her soul? Does it inflict physical pain or something? How does it work? Always wondering about that. And also, these things that are sticking out of her head, I still don't know what it is. Is this some kind of a crown that she is hiding in her hair? I like her design and character, by the way. I'm always interested in Ilyanna. She's a fun character. As I know her. Anyway, so more hacking and slashing, but then she's using her teleportation powers. It's just, like I said, her mutant powers to teleport the innocent people away. But they also have to go to Limbo and then go to wherever she is teleporting them, or maybe she's just teleporting them into Limbo or through Limbo. Not sure anymore. Anyway, so what is this? I thought this was some guy in a ski mask, but it's just a mutant, I guess. And then this white bigot says, We're right. They're only coming after the mutants. And she says, please, Mr. Carton, come on, we have to go. And he shoves her away. And then she uses her mutant powers to whisk Mr. Carter away. And then the monster grabs the mutant girl. I mean, wouldn't it be better if she uses, instead of, the teleportation disc to whisk him away, that she is just put it in between the mutant and the monster, so he just dives into the teleportation thing? And all this old woman says, it's begun, we can let her take her. Okay. And then he stabs her, this monster, and go through the teleportation portal. And then they are here at the graveyard. And there's a young boy sobbing. And she says, hey, how could I have missed another person? I'm lucky it wasn't worse, that he wasn't dead. And she says, I'm here to help. But then, oh no, it's an evil boy. And then, I don't know, ravens and crows probably, right? And he turns into some kind of a, I don't know, a half demon monster, half human. Looks cool. And there is some kind of a barrier, I guess. So this guy shoots. I mean, I like this. I mean, I like the lighting, the glow of the sword and the lighting here. It looks cool, but what I'm noticing a lot in modern comics is the color purple and blue. And boy, I don't want to see the color purple or purple and, no, it's purple. What I'm saying, purple or pink and blue for the next 10 years. Get him out of there. I'm so sick of looking at him. It's nitpicking, but still. Anyway, also there's a weird angle here. Now look at this. So he shoots at her, right? And this is the shooting effect, and he hits her in the shoulder. But the angle is so stupid, in my opinion, that, I mean, it looks that she's being hit on this side, on the right side of her shoulder, because of how is the angle of the shooting effect. So it would have been better if it was a little bit more turned like this, so you see a different shot instead of this one. Nitpicking, but, I think that looks bad. So, and then her blood drips, and there is something happening here. So I'm not really know what's happening. So is there's a barrier that is being formed or weakened, or is this barrier, like going bigger and bigger? Because there is no barrier here, and then suddenly it is. So I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, but there's some cool tricks here, I must admit. So she is purging the wound, not purging, but healing the wound. And he's shooting a bullet, and he's saying burst, and then it turns into smaller bullets, and it penetrates her. And that looks really cool. I like that. There's some neat effects in here that I must admit I like. All right. So teacher, I believe she's a teacher. I just made that stuff up because I don't know who she is. And she's saying, we need to strengthen the seal before it falls. Any more energy sacrificed, and liminal is free. So this young boy says, liminal? Seal? You're speaking nonsense, Grandma. Anyway, if the girl's here, that means two prophecies are colliding. Neither can be fulfilled. Centuries ago, our ancestors placed 5 seals to trap the entity known as the liminal. If all 5 break, his chaos will be released into this world. He says, hey, are you insane? But then she's conjuring some kind of a mystic barrier. And he says, get to the seal, Callan, now. All right. Then we go back to Crow Guy, because he says time's up. And he's using super speed. And then she's using a mutant power that maybe something like the Banshee, sound powers. He just stands there and takes it. Not sure why he's not flinching, but okay. So he grabs her, and she screams. And then she's turning into liquid goo, I guess. But then her soul self speaks to her. Poor pathetic Ilyanna. What's holding us back? Worth it for you little silly mortals? Or morals? What will you do now? Who else will you let die? Now, this trope, to be honest, is a little bit stupid again. Well, not really stupid, but it's been done before in many, 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 many other TVs, movies, and comic books, where an evil self is whispering in the ears of the hero, and then one day she will turn into the demon, and then she has to battle the demon to overcome the evil that is in her. Stuff, that trope. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's been done before. Anyway, so he's using an explode magic. Now, again, not sure what's happening here, so it explodes into pink mist, but But what is it? Is it just mist? Or is it gas? Or is it supposed to be an explosion, like a real explosion with fire and all that stuff? But it doesn't hint it that way because it looks like pink mist. Does it affect her some way? No. And there's also no explanation. So she charges forward and her eyes are red. Well, Grandma is here, binding this physical barrier. And she says, Callan says, hey, we need to run him. And the beast has collected enough energy. Those wards will be the only thing to stop the seal before failing. I do not know if the other 4 has already been destroyed. Our family was charged with protecting this seal. The duty was to pass to you when you came of age, and she apologizing that she's not being initiated, when it was younger or something like that, or good enough, or that he didn't have a childhood. Anyway, and she also do not trust the dark child. All right. So, and then Ilyanna's lunging at him. I must say, this is a long reach, by the way. If you look at the sword, it's a very long reach. But, all right. So he's using magic again, and he splits the bullet. Now, I know Ilyanna is a mutant, but I'm 100% sure she is not invulnerable to bullets, if you know what I mean. She's been hit before many times, because of the split. And the explosions and all that stuff, but she keeps coming and coming. I mean, she's just a normal mutant. With normal, I mean not invulnerable, not bulletproof, not shielding. It's just a young girl, right? Anyway, so she says, I'm not going to hold back. And she is then again hit by all this creature's magic. But she just keeps walking, which is ridiculous. I mean, she's hit by so many smaller bullets, like pellets. I mean, it must hurt like hell, and it also penetrates your skin and your body. But the old woman says, you have magic too, girl. Stop swinging around the sword like a brute and use your head. And she says, yeah, I'm going to use my magic because I totally forgot about that, although she is a sorceress, which is also a very stupid... How could you forget that you are a sorceress? Anyway, but then, again, this looks cool. She's using his blood spatters, and she's using silence as a spell. And so the blood touches or engulfs this creature in some kind of a torrent, a barrier maybe. Oh, by the way, it's stupid. Don't buy that. It's crap. So he wants to use the split or burst magic again, but nothing happens because of the silence. So she silenced him, which is cool. And then she's lunging him again and chops off his arm. He grabs then with his other arm the gun, and he says, I'm tired of these games. Your family will imprison my master no longer. And he's doing something. And he shoots then the grandma. Grandma falls down. And he says that one of the, seal was broken. And then something happens here, like, I don't know, some kind of a magic or darkness is releasing. But then magic and the young boy and the grandma is escaping through the portal. And then Ilyanna uses some kind of a barrier around this, whatever that is, containing. As long as I focus, I can keep magic contained. But it's the weight only my shoulders. But it's the weight on my shoulders. And soon my strength will falter. I need to find the entity behind this before any more seals are destroyed. The barrier will not last indefinitely. Everything is out of balance. 2 are dead. But it isn't your fault state. But isn't this your default state? Stop fighting. She talks to herself and accept it. So, what's happening here? Did it just disappear? Or did she just hold it? I mean, where's the barrier? I'm not sure what's happening here. Where did it go? Am I missing something? Anyway, so the old woman is dead. She wants to what's the word? Comfort the young boy, but he says, nah, I let Ren die. I let my only family die. And he has some notes from grandmother, and he basically vowing to I know. Avenge your death. And she says, I will take care of everything. You will stay here where it's safe. And he says, no, this is all your fault, right? He says, how can I trust you? You let this one fall, talking about the barrier. So he blames her. I'm coming with you. I'm not letting you and this journal out of my sight. He's so young. He's going to get himself killed. He's determined to. This is my mistake to fix. All right, she says, I'm Magik, and he's Callan Isaacs. And she says, I've made worse deals before, after all. And then, yeah, this looks good. This particular here with the skeletons and the black skeletons, cool. So, and then there's a voice, the dog show. So that's her name. How interesting. Will she pose a threat or become a gift? No matter. We have either fun either way. Or something like that. And it leads us to the next issue. So, long story short, what do I think about it? I think it's okay. I must admit, like I said, I'm pretty biased and rightfully so about modern Marvel comics. But I must say, I had some fun here. The art looks good. The story is decent. Not sure how the rest of the series will go. I believe I have 3 issues of 4. The 4 is in, I ordered that. So we're going to do the whole thing, and hopefully it's good. We'll see. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.